Good day, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to our technical summary video today on the professional accountant's role in data. My name is Letty Janse van Vuren, and I'll be taking you through an outline of the concept of a data management value chain. And I'm also going to be looking at the 4 key roles that professional accountants can play within that. Right. We've really got some issues nowadays with all the AI that everybody is working on and everything. So let's go and have a look at data and what role we play within that. So the document I'm going to be working from, or that I've used as a main source of reference, is a discussion paper that was issued, and you'll see it says the professional accountant's role in data. So I'm going to be looking at the contents of the video quickly, looking at an introduction, specifically why it's important for us. I think once we understand why it's important for us, we can then move on and actually wrap our minds around it. I'm going to look at the contents of the publication, and then in terms of an overview and summary, looking at the DMVC very briefly, as well as our 4 roles. Okay. So the abbreviations that I've used in today's TSV is IFAC, which is the International Federation of Accountants, PA, which is a professional accountant, and we get those in business and in public practice. This is applicable to both of those. And the DMVC is the data management value chain. Right, quite a foreign concept to most of us because we've always thought that it really doesn't apply to us. Well, today is going to prove otherwise. And then POPIA, talking about the Protection of Personal Information Act of 2013. Why is this important to us? Well, the publication outlines a DMVC, and it looks at specifically the key 4 roles that we as professional accountants can play within it. One is data engineer, data controller, data scientist, and strategic advisor. Now, all that they've done with this is they've given it names specifically to the data, to the data value chain. Right, so that's why you're not going to have to go and study IT to be any one of these. Right, but you also need to understand which client your data has and how you can use that during your engagement. And for that, you'll have to know where your place is in the DMVC and which role you can play with it. The relevance to your clients is they also need to understand how you will use the data. So they need to understand that they need to give you access to their live system or to whichever systems that you might require. All right. So there's a lot involved in data that we really haven't thought about before. This international publication is a 38-page discussion paper, and it was released together with the CPAs of Canada. So CPA Canada, way back when in May 2021, and it seems to have resurfaced now that we are talking about chatbots all over the place, and you can't even go onto a website without having this pop up to say, hello, my name is so-and-so, how can I help you today? Or having a chatbot that really is there to assist you. So this looks at the new model, right? The new model of the data management value chain, and how we can then build on our key competencies that we already have and really change our roles slightly so that we can contribute to the digital economy. So the competencies that you've got, you can already use those to a great extent. Right. This document can be used as a guidance and support tool, and that's the main function that I want you to focus on today. The document is available to you. At the end, I gave you the link, and the document is there. I will show you what the document looks like very briefly. Before we do that, I just want to quickly talk about the recent Tech Jury blog. They used this with the 2021 figures. So they said in 2020 there was about 40 zettabytes of data. Now I can't even wrap my mind around this. It's 40 trillion gigabytes. Okay, we work in gigs. We maybe work in a terabyte. This is a trillion gigabytes. So it's more than a gigabyte, more than a terabyte, and definitely it's a zettabyte. So in 2010, which is 10 years ago, they reckoned that there was 1.2 zettabytes. Now we're sitting on more than 40 zettabytes. So it's massively increased. Data volume is expected to double every 2 years. So in other words, where we are sitting now, we're sitting on maybe 80 zettabytes. It's ridiculous. It's unreal. Okay. 95% of organizations need to manage their unstructured data. Right. So 45% of the data was managed in the cloud, and that brought jurisdictional issues into play, like whose responsibility is it? And that's how GDPR and POPIA evolved. Right. 97% of organizations are investing in big data and AI, artificial intelligence. And this is quite shocking because you think about this and you think if you're not investing in this at this stage, you're going to be left in the dark ages. All right, you're going to have to adapt with a change. All right, that was just for interest's sake. In terms of an overview of the whole document, they go on to say that data is not a commodity, right? It grows in value as it is used, and that's a new concept. Data has always been just a resource, and it's grown from being a resource into literally being an asset now. Physical asset, electronic asset, one that needs protection, one that needs management, and one that you can really get a lot of economic value from. So it really is. I mean, if you look at the data warehousings and stuff, though, those guys that are providing online real-time backups, off-site backups that are available, the recovery systems, it is just phenomenal. It's opened up a whole new world of data engineers and data custodians, and we all need that. All right. So yes, as PAs, we've always dealt with data, but our expertise has been predominantly focused on structured data sets. And that's no longer the norm. We don't really just have the old historical data and that's what we work with. We've got so much more. People are auditing not just around the computer like they did in the old days, but they are auditing through the computer, which means that sample sizes are being drawn in live situations. And then the growing recognition of data as an asset is really redefining the way that we look at a value chain. Because when you have an asset, you can look at the concept of a value chain. So the traditional concept of value chains is being rewritten. So we now have this new model called the DMVC. And if you go to figure 1 in the publication, you'll see that. And I'm going to show that to you just now on some of the next slides. But where do PAs fit in? Okay. Yes, we've used financial data to measure performance in the past. And it's been in the past for decision makers, which is really we are only looking at the past to predict future behavior or looking at the past to make future decisions on. And really, this is allowing us to be a lot more on time and make the decisions that are relevant now through analysis and reports of current data and not just your historical data. Yes, governments around the world, they are racing to update their laws and whatnot. We've got POPIA already in South Africa. If none of the other countries have anything, they've always got the GDPR, which is the international equivalent of POPIA. Right. And organizations are really scrambling to build their expertise. As we saw, a huge amount of organizations, 95%, are investing in things like AI and chat GPT, which really is going to change the way that we audit. I mean, these are foreign concepts to me as a technological, not a geek. What's the opposite of a geek? A non-geek. I'm a technical non-geek, so I have to go and read up on as much of this technology as I can so that I can, number one, understand it, number two, identify why it's important to me, and number three, how can I then use this in my life? How can I use this in our practices? All right. So PAs are very, very well positioned to help organizations to forge new paths in the digital economy. We can really help them to come out of the dark ages, can't we? If you've got access or if you've gained knowledge of a certain system and you go to your client and you think to yourself, my client's going to actually really benefit from this system. you might introduce them to that and they might just go on, and then their path is forged on the new digital economy. All right, so what we need to look at is we've got to have a toolkit. And our toolkit has got to evolve. It's got to grow year after year, audit after audit, engagement after engagement, seminar after seminar, webinar, I don't care where you go to, which launches, reading after reading, to address the volume, the velocity, the variety, and the veracity of data. And only then are we going to be able to leverage the value. And that way we will make ourselves into the ultimate role that we've got to earn as PAs would be as strategic advisors to our clients on data, on the DMVC. So the DMVC looks at the processes. It begins when data is first created, and this is all so that the users can actually benefit from this and make sense of it. So the data management value chain exists. We've got data gathering, which also goes hand in hand with storing. We gather the information, then we transform it and we share it. And by doing so, we are gaining insights into the data and analyzing the data. And then lastly, data communication is where you put yourself into the strategic advisor role, or the what do they call it? The chief data officer, the CDO. Right. So that's the ultimate level. If we look very briefly, this is the figure 1 I was talking about, and you'll see there are the 4 steps in the DMVC. There are the 4 roles of the data engineer, and you can go through, I mean, in terms of data gathering, they've got to cleanse it, collect it, and grade it. And then after that, they use it for internal use, external use, or jurisdictional issues. So there's the data sharing, the data insights, measurement, modeling, insights, strategic advisor, internal, external, or external shareholders. So you really can look at, there's a core role that the certified professional accountant plays, right? Or there's an enhanced role that goes on that includes data controller or moving up to data insights. The core role really is data engineer with a little bit of data sharing, right? Because we do have certain responsibilities towards POPIA for ourselves, and also now having to report when your clients do not comply with POPIA. Right. So the 4 key roles that we have in the DMVC as data engineer, we've said, as data engineer, you want to make sure that the data used has integrity, it's clean, and is reliable. And how do we do that? Well, an example would be to expand our audit and assurance role to include non-financial data, which we've always sort of done on an analytical review sort of basis, like number of employees, and try to equate that to the salaries on a monthly basis. But this allows us to expand a lot more in terms of including the gathering of non-financial data. As data controller, we would then focus on the stewardship of the data resources. So we would look at the financial and the physical resources as well, and then ensuring that POPIA is complied with through the appropriate monitoring of the data usage. So you would have to go and have some sort of POPIA checklist for your clients and for yourself. Within your own organization, you've got to monitor yourself. Right, remember in South Africa, the information regulator is responsible for monitoring and enforcing POPIA, but they have not gotten round to monitoring yet. And I did say yet. Right, then we've got a data scientist. They analyze, interpret complex data so that you can have really decision making from that. So this is by you earning the role of Chief Data Officer. And as your strategic advisor, you are then able to demonstrate your reliability because you've now proven that you can give them information where they can really make strategic decisions on that. So in summary, as professional accountants, we are really uniquely positioned. We can leverage our existing expertise, expand our approaches. We can include both structured and unstructured data sets, capturing both financial and non-financial data to support organizations, whether it is our own or our clients, to make insight-driven decisions. And therefore, we are also able to better respond to risks because we'll recognize them in our clients. I did do a full 2-hour webinar on this, so if you need more detail, I did it on the 20th of July 2021. That's the contents that I had, and there were 3 major case studies in this as well that you can refer to. How do you obtain the full webinar? Well, there are the instructions. You basically go to Webinars on Demand and you order the recording there. The source document, there's the link if you want to just get the source document now. But if you are ordering it as a webinar on demand, then you will automatically receive that. So in closing, Stathis Gould, who is the Director of Advocacy at IFAC, he says, this is an urgent and opportune moment for the accountancy profession to leverage the disruption of the expanding digital economy, embrace enhancing roles in the DMVC, and guide businesses and organizations of all kinds into a sustainable and prosperous future. Now, look what we are talking about here. We are talking about sustainability, which is one of the buzzwords today. We are talking about guiding. We're talking about enhanced roles, which means expanding your practice, right? Adding more services to your offerings. Everybody's complaining that they're not making enough money. Expand your services. You've already got the expertise, so use it. Open your eyes to the data opportunities around you and how you can better use that within your organizations as well. If you need more detail, there's always our monthly newsletter, our technical alerts that we publish daily on LinkedIn. Please remember to follow SAAA there. Webinars on demand, live webinars, and then my responsibility, the MCLU subscription, right, which is our monthly compliance and legislation updates. Very, very valuable. Please refer to the website there if you have any issues. Right. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is it from my side. I hope that you are much more aware now of the professional accountant's role in data. Thank you and goodbye.